You see, people are leeches, parasites that latch onto your emotions, your reactions, your very essence, and they drink. Oh, how they drink. Every time you flinch, every time you clench your fists, every time you break that cold mask you wear, they win. They don't want you destroyed. They want you consumed, devoured by your own rage, drowned in your own pain. And the funniest part? They don't even need to throw a punch. No, no, no. They don't get their hands dirty. They whisper. They taunt. They suggest. And you give them what they want. You react. You scream. You break. Like a puppet whose strings are yanked in all the right places. But tell me, what happens when a marionette cuts its strings? What happens when the show stops? When the audience realizes that the puppet has stopped dancing? Ah, silence. And silence. Silence scares them. Silence is power. Indifference is war. They poke and prod, and when you don't flinch, they start to panic. They realize that they don't own you anymore. And that, my dear, is what kills them. Not your anger, not your vengeance, your lack of interest. Because without your pain to feed on, they starve. Let me tell you something about people. They don't hate you because they truly hate you. No, no, that would require effort. That would require depth. And most of these animals, they don't have depth. They hate you because you make them feel small. Because every time they look at you, they see something they will never be. So, what do? They throw stones at the throne. They claw at the strong. Because tearing down is easier than building up. Because they don't know how to be great, so they try to ruin greatness instead. And you let them. You let them get inside your head. You let their words slither into your skull, wrap around your thoughts, own your emotions. Why? Because you care. Because you want justice. You want fairness. You want closure. But tell me, when has the world ever been fair? When has justice ever belonged to the righteous? No, 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 my dear, justice is a privilege, and fairness is an illusion. The strong don't complain about fairness, they move on. They build in silence. They thrive in darkness. And most importantly, they do not react. Do you know what drives your enemies insane? Not your revenge, not your anger, but your absence. Your ability to walk away, to erase them from your life, as if they never existed. That's power. That's strength. You see, when you fight back, when you argue, when you try to prove something to them, you validate their existence. You acknowledge them. And that's all they ever wanted. But when you disappear, when you stop caring, they spiral, they self-destruct, they turn on each other. Because without you as their common enemy, they realize they were nothing all along. They crave your reaction. Starve them. Don't give them the satisfaction. Let them talk. Let them mock. Let them paint you as the villain, as the failure, as the fool. And then you rise, quietly, ruthlessly. You let your success be your answer, not words, not explanations, not battles fought in the dirt with lesser minds. No, no, you rise above. You become untouchable, and nothing haunts a person more than knowing they had a chance to break you. And they failed. So what's it going to be? Are you going to keep dancing for them? Keep reacting? Keep feeding their pathetic little egos? Or are you going to do the one thing they never expected? Disappear, starve them, leave them gasping in the silence of their own insignificance. Because trust me, nothing hurts them more. And do you know what's funny? The ones who hurt you the most, the ones who ripped you apart and left you bleeding, they'll be the first to watch. Oh, they act like they don't care, like you were just another face in the crowd. But let me tell you a secret. They never stop watching. They stalk in the shadows, desperate to see the wreckage they left behind. They crave proof that you never got back up, that their words still haunt you, that their betrayal still burns in your chest. They want to see you struggle. They want to see you beg the world for answers. They want to see the pain still clinging to you, like a ghost you can't shake. Because that's the only thing that would make their miserable little lives feel worth it. That's the only thing that would justify their actions, knowing they had the power to break you. So what do? Do you let them win? Do you spend your days throwing punches at shadows, screaming into the void, demanding an apology that will never come? No, no, no. You starve them. You bury them in your silence. You let them live in the torment of never knowing, of never being sure whether you suffered, whether you healed, whether you even remember their names. And that kills them more than anything else ever could. You see, people don't fear revenge. No, revenge makes them feel important. It keeps them relevant in your story. What they fear is being erased, being forgotten. Because deep down, every single one of them wants to matter. Even the cruel ones, especially the cruel ones. And when they realize they were nothing but a minor inconvenience in your journey, when they realize that their betrayal didn't define you, that you rose instead of fell, that's when they feel the weight of their own insignificance. That's when the regret starts creeping in, poisoning their every thought. But by then, it's too late. Because you've already moved on. You're already miles ahead, walking a path they can never follow. You've built yourself into something untouchable, unstoppable. And they're left behind, choking on the dust of the empire you built in silence. Because that's what real strength looks like. Not screaming, not fighting battles that don't deserve your energy. Strength is knowing when to walk away. Strength is refusing to be controlled by pain. Strength is choosing yourself over the ghosts of the past. And that's what they'll never understand. They thought they were powerful because they hurt you. But real power? Real power is what you do with that pain. Do you let it chain you? Do you let it own you? Do you let it turn you into a prisoner of your own memories? Or do you take that pain, that betrayal, that grief, and forge it into something indestructible? That's the question. That's the test. And only the strong pass it. You see, pain is just fuel. And people are predictable. They expect you to collapse. They expect you to drown in the weight of it all. They expect you to prove them right. But what they don't expect, they don't expect you to thrive. They don't expect you to disappear into the silence and return as something stronger. They don't expect you to use their betrayal as motivation. And that's why you do exactly that. You take every scar, every wound, every moment of suffering, and you make it count. You let it burn, not as a wound, but as a warning. You let it remind you of who you are, of what you survived, of what you will never allow again. Because that's the real lesson, isn't it? You don't just walk away, you rise above. You don't just move on, you evolve. You become someone so untouchable, so ruthless in your pursuit of growth, that the past loses all power over you. And them, the ones who tried to destroy you, they become nothing more than a distant memory, a lesson, a joke. So, let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them fear the silence you leave behind. Because the moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop feeding their egos, the moment you starve them of your energy, you win. And them, they fade into the nothingness they always were. So tell me, are you ready? Ready to let go? Ready to starve them? Because the second you do, you'll realize something beautiful. You never needed them. You never needed closure. You never needed revenge. All you ever needed was yourself. And that is the moment you become truly free. And you know what's really amusing? How they always come back. Oh, they always do. Like rats scurrying in the dark, drawn to the very thing they once tried to destroy. You see, they thought they were finished with you. They thought you were just another casualty, just another name on their long list of people they've broken. But what they never expected, what they never saw coming, was you rising. Not just surviving, not just picking up the pieces, but thriving, becoming something they can't touch, something they fear. And that's when the panic sets in. At first they pretend not to notice. Act like you don't exist. Act like your silence doesn't unnerve them. But it does. Oh, it does. Because people like that, they live for reactions. They need to know they still matter to you. That their betrayal still has weight. But when they see you move on, when they see you building, growing, becoming someone they no longer recognize, that's when the whispers start. They'll ask around, stalk in the shadows, watch from the distance, pretending they don't care. But deep down, something eats at them. That unbearable nagging thought. What if I was wrong? What if they never needed me? What if I was nothing to them? And it drives them insane. Because they expected you to fold, to shatter under the weight of their absence. They expected you to be the one looking back, reaching out, begging for an explanation. But when the roles are reversed, when they are the ones left wondering, that's when they realize they lost. And it doesn't stop there. No. The guilt starts creeping in, slithering through their thoughts like a sickness, because suddenly they see it. The way you glow now, the way you carry yourself differently, the way your silence speaks louder than their words ever could. And for the first time, they understand. They didn't break you, they built you. Every cut, every wound, every betrayal, it turned you into something stronger. And that haunts them. That's when they reach out. Oh, it's never direct, never honest. No, they're too proud for that. They'll test the waters first. A casual message, a like on an old photo, a comment so harmless you almost don't see it for what it is. But you do, because you know. You know they're fishing for a reaction, trying to slip back into your world like they were never gone. But here's the thing. You're not the same person anymore. The version of you they knew, the one who cared, who reacted, who let them in so easily, that person is gone. And what's left? What's left is someone who sees through them, someone who remembers, someone who has learned the most powerful lesson of all. Some people aren't meant to be let back in. And that's where you make the choice. You don't answer. You don't engage. You don't give them the satisfaction of thinking they still hold space in your mind. You let them sit in that silence, in that uncertainty. And trust me, it kills them. Because now they're the ones craving your reaction. They're the ones overthinking, questioning, drowning in the weight of their own actions. And you don't even spare them a second thought. Because that's real revenge, not anger, not confrontation, not proving a point. No. Real revenge is becoming untouchable. Living a life so full, so powerful, that the people who once tried to break you realize they never had any power at all. So let them wonder, let them watch, let them sit in the agony of their own making, but never give them what they crave. Because the moment you do, the moment you let them back in, even for a second, they'll sink their claws in, drag you back into the chaos, and remind you exactly why you walked away in the first place. So starve them, watch them wither in the emptiness of your absence. Let them drown in the silence you leave behind. Because the second you stop feeding their egos, the second you become indifferent to their existence, you take back everything they ever tried to steal from you. And that is when you win. And do you know what happens next? After the silence becomes too much for them to bear, after they've clawed at every thread of your past, trying to find a way back in, they rewrite the story. They twist the truth. Because they can't accept that they were the villains. No. That would require a level of self-awareness they simply do not possess. Instead, they turn the mirror outward. They paint you as the problem, the one who changed, the one who became cold, the one who abandoned them. It's pathetic, really, the way they rewrite history to make themselves the victims, as if you weren't the one bleeding, as if you weren't the one crawling through the wreckage they left behind, rebuilding from the ground up. They forget the nights you spent wondering what you did wrong, the days you spent trying to understand why they turned on you. They forget the way their words cut, the way their absence burned, the way their betrayal shattered everything you thought was real. And that's the real tragedy, isn't it? They don't even remember. They don't remember the damage they caused, the weight of their actions, because for them, it was just another game, just another moment of entertainment before they moved on to their next victim. But you carried it, you felt it, and that's what separates you from them. That's what makes you stronger, because you learned, you grew, you became something greater. And them, they stayed exactly the same, stagnant, miserable, desperate for a new supply of chaos to feed their egos. But when they come back to you, expecting the same person they left behind, expecting you to welcome them with open arms, to give them another chance to tear you down, that's when they realize they lost something they will never get back. Because you are not that person anymore. You are no longer waiting for an apology that will never come. No longer hoping for closure from people who never deserved a second chance. No longer wasting your breath explaining yourself to those who never listened in the first place. And that terrifies them, because they realize too late that they made a mistake, that in trying to break you, they only made you colder, that in betraying you, they only set you free. But here's the thing about freedom. It's permanent. Once you taste it, once you realize how light you feel without them dragging you down, there's no going back. You don't even hate them anymore. Hate would mean they still matter, but they don't. They're just nothing. Ghosts of a past you no longer recognize, names that no longer hold any weight. And the best part? They know it. Oh, how they know it. They'll reach out one last time. Some pathetic attempt to reclaim the power they once had over you. Maybe it's an apology. Maybe it's a half-hearted excuse. Maybe it's just a desperate attempt to remind you that they still exist. But you don't even flinch. You don't react. You don't care. Because the truth is, they crave your reaction. It's the only thing that makes them feel important. And when you give them nothing, when you starve them of your energy, your attention, your very existence, that's when they finally break. That's when they realize they never had power over you to begin with. And you just keep moving forward, untouchable, unbothered, unstoppable, because you finally understand the greatest truth of all. Some people are only strong when they have an audience. But when the curtain falls, when the lights go out, when the world stops watching, they crumble. So let them. Let them drown in the silence they created. Let them suffocate under the weight of their own irrelevance. But you rise, you build, you thrive. Because the best revenge isn't anger. It isn't confrontation. It isn't even justice. It's forgetting them, and nothing hurts them more. And then, after all the noise has faded, after they've exhausted every last attempt to claw their way back into your world, what's left? Regret, but not yours. No, theirs. The same people who once laughed at your pain, who reveled in your suffering, who took pride in watching you struggle. Now they're haunted by the silence you left behind. They thought they were irreplaceable, thought they had left a scar too deep to ever heal, thought they were permanent in your story. But now they see the truth. They were nothing more than a chapter, and you've already turned the page. They wanted to be a fire in your life, something that could burn you to ashes. But you didn't burn. You adapted. You became the fire. And now, they're the ones left in the cold, standing in the ruins of the destruction they created. Because here's the thing about people like that. They don't expect consequences. They don't expect the pain they inflict to ever find its way back to them. They assume they'll always be the ones in control. The ones with the power. But when you walk away, when you become indifferent to their existence, that's when the real suffering begins. Because now, every time they see you, every time they hear your name, every time they realize that you are still standing, still thriving, it eats away at them. They can't stand it. They can't process it. They need to believe that they mattered, that they had some lasting effect on you. But when they realize they didn't, when they see that their absence didn't destroy you, that it didn't even dent you, that's when they feel the weight of what they lost. They start reminiscing, romanticizing the past, rewriting the story in their heads, convincing themselves that maybe they weren't the villains, maybe they were misunderstood, maybe you were the problem all along. It's pathetic, really. The way they try to make sense of it all, try to justify their actions, try to pretend they deserve another chance. But they don't. They never did. And here's the part they'll never admit. Deep down, they wish they had been better. Oh, they'll never say it out loud. Their pride won't allow it. but in the silence of their own minds, in the dead of night, when there's no one left to impress, they know they should have treated you differently. They know they should have valued you. They know they should have held on instead of throwing you away like you were disposable. But now it's too late. Because you are not the same person they left behind. You are no longer waiting for their validation, no longer hoping for their apology, no longer looking back. And them, they're stuck, trapped in the cycle of their own making, forced to watch from a distance as you grow, as you evolve, as you become someone they can never touch again. And that is their punishment. Not your anger, not your revenge, not some grand confrontation where you finally get to tell them everything they did to you. Their punishment is your success, your happiness, your ability to move on, while they stay exactly where they are, lost, bitter, forgotten. Because the worst thing you can do to someone who tried to destroy you is to show them that they failed. And nothing hurts them more. And then, after all the dust has settled, after all their desperate attempts to rewrite history have failed, comes the final stage, the quiet acceptance that they were never needed. That's the part that really kills them. Not the distance, not the silence, not even the guilt that gnaws at them in the lonely hours of the night. No, the thing that buries them, the thing that destroys them, is the realization that their presence in your life was never as important as they once believed. They thought they were irreplaceable, thought they were essential, thought that you would always feel their absence like a missing limb. But now they see you standing taller than ever, walking through life as if they had never even existed. And that is the final nail in their coffin. Because you see, they don't just crave your reaction. They crave significance. They want to believe they had some lasting effect, that their betrayal, their cruelty, their games mattered. But when they look at you and realize they didn't, that they were nothing more than a minor inconvenience in a much greater story, that's when the real suffering begins. Oh, they'll pretend it doesn't bother them. Act like they don't care. Make jokes about how you changed, how you're different now, how you think you're too good for them. But beneath the mask, behind the forced laughter, there's something else. Fear. Fear that they will never find someone like you again. Fear that they wasted something rare. Fear that they lost the best thing that ever happened to them. And the best part? There's no going back. No undoing the damage they caused. No reversing time to take back the words they said, the choices they made. They had their chance. They had many chances. And they threw them all away like they meant nothing. And now they have to live with that mistake. Because that's the truth, isn't it? People don't regret losing anyone. They regret losing the people who would have never given up on them, the ones who cared, the ones who would have walked through fire for them, the ones who saw them at their worst and still stayed. But the problem with taking those people for granted is that one day they leave, and when they do, they never come back. And that's what eats away at them the most, because deep down they know they'll never meet another you. They can chase after replacements, throw themselves into distractions, fill their lives with meaningless noise, but nothing will ever feel the same. No one will ever care the way you did. No one will ever see them the way you once did. And that's a reality they will have to carry for the rest of their lives. But you won't even notice. You'll be too busy building, too busy thriving, too busy becoming the version of yourself you were always meant to be. And the irony? The only reason you became this strong was because of them. Because of their betrayal. Because of their abandonment. Because of their cruelty. They thought they were breaking you, but they were building you. And now they have to sit back and watch as you rise higher than they ever imagined, as you step into the power they once tried to steal from you.